All right, Underworld Strawberry Hotel. It was released in on October 25th this year. I've taken a long time to listen to this album. I noticed it came out on Apple Music on always the big day for Apple Music is always Fridays. And so, yes, it was released on a Friday, October 25th, and we're in December. Not only December, but the very end of December. And so I've been listening to this album from the day it was released, and I wanted to review the album. I think it's one of Rick and Karl's better albums, definitely. Prior to this album, they were kind of in a never-ending cycle of releasing songs every week for over a year, and it just kept on going. And as much as I think that approach might be good for them within the studio, I could care less that they came out with a 6-hour music that they have released week after week. I would rather have them just focus on one album and release. It doesn't have to be filled up with songs to the brim, I would rather have a smaller album, maybe like 8 or 9 songs, 10 songs, 12, and really pick the good ones to put on the album, kind of sift through all those songs that they were releasing week after week, and a lot of them are just a filler, so when they came out with this album, Strawberry Hotel, I was really glad that they went back to the traditional form of an album and kind of have a sort of like a theme run through all the songs on this album, kind of like what Willie Nelson would do in the 70s with his 1975 album, where he's talking about his relationship with his wife, and the first side is her version of the story. The second side is his, and that album is very good. I can't think of it right now, but and then of course the one after that, the Redheaded Stranger, that's a really good album too. But with Underworld, so Rick Smith, and that does all the synthesizers and all the treatments of the the Rollins and all the music. That's his part. And Karl Hyde, he does play guitar, but obviously with these albums they're more geared towards piano and synthesizer music. So there is one song at the very end, Stickman Test, that kind of lets Karl do his guitar work. But for the most part, this album is very good. It hit number 1 on the UK dance album charts, and it was released on Virgin Music and Rick and Karl's own label, Smith Hyde Productions. So, as far as this album goes, I think it's a product of what COVID-19, like, um, they kind of uh, went on a tangent and kind of with the first song, Black Poppies, it's kind of a acapella with the slightest treatments from Rick, and barely you can hear very soft, light music in the background, and of course Karl's lyrics are basically saying that change is good. We've went through a lot of changes with this COVID. He doesn't specifically sing about COVID, but obviously everyone in the world has been affected by this pandemic, and within the Black Poppies, he's singing to the audience and telling them thank you for kind of for all the years, all the support you've given, and that change is good, and don't worry. Uh, Kind of break the barrier and go out and have fun again, because COVID is gone. Well, it's not necessarily gone, but obviously the pandemic has become livable. Um, so that's essentially it. Black Poppies is a very nice a cappella by Karl. He sings it very well, and it kind of bleeds into Denver Luna, which kind of you can hear the kick drum on Denver Luna right after Karl sings "Strawberry Jam Girl," doom 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 doom, and this is a classic, uh, house track, trance. You could call it trance house. It just essentially builds upon itself, and the lyrics that Karl sings are so out there. His train of thought and his lyrics flow kind of like Bob Dylan, Blonde on Blonde, where in Visions of Joanna, Bob Dylan sings about the moose that's hanging on the wall with the binoculars hanging from the moose's head. So they, uh, Karl gives you a chance to really paint a picture of what he's singing about. They're so bizarre lyrics that everybody can either not relate or relate to them, and it's just a very unique flow of conscience lyrics that he creates for these songs. And not only that, but the title of the track, Denver Luna. Denver, Colorado. I assume that's what he's referring to, the city of Denver, Colorado. Denver has been a really big pusher of electronic music way into the early 90s. And I'm glad to see that Denver has actually been immortalized by this song. And it's an amazing song. Denver Luna, around the 2-minute mark, all of a sudden you can hear the change in the song, and Karl is like, he sings, "Strawberry Jam Girl sees Mickey Mouse in the window. I get up, I look, and it's only my reflection, flexion." And then that last 2 minutes, it just builds. on top of each other and really finishes out the song beautifully. That part is so funny because some people I can imagine don't like the lyrics, but I think they're so out there and so bizarre that they work for the song, essentially. The third song, Techno Shinkansen, is probably one of my favorites. It's if you actually look at the title of the track, Techno Shinkansen. Shinkansen is those bullet trains in Japan that go really fast, and whenever they go through like a station where people are waiting, it just goes. And if you listen to the song, it kind of builds, and you can almost hear the train going by. Essentially, that's what they're trying. At least that's what I think Rick Smith is trying to portray, or kind of have you feel that rush of the Shinkansen, the bullet train that comes through at such a amazing high speed that it's just amazing. Those Japanese fast trains, and it also makes me wonder, did they actually go on one of those bullet trains in Japan, on a Shinkansen, and record the actual sound of the Shinkansen? Because there is a part within the Techno Shinkansen where you can hear like this enormous rush of wind and going through, and the music just follows and just supports the whole rushing sound. It's a very good song, and actually, as far as the likability of the song, it's doing better than Denver Luna on the charts in Apple Music. And at least that's what I've noticed when I checked. And the next song, In the Color Red, is a really good on part of Rick Smith's music making. This is very sharp, well done acid house track. You can almost hear the beats like slicing. They're so sharp and very, very well done. And the color red is what I mean is the wordplay. Karl sings about something totally different, and then at the very end he all ties it in, and then says, and the color red, and the color red. And it just reminds me a lot of like Maurice Joshua from Chicago, and just like acid house beats that are very popular, obviously in Chicago, and of course there's some from New York and Chicago. Very, very well done acid house track, and the color red. It just fits very well, and it's an amazing song. I love it. The next song, Sweet Hands Experience, is kind of a wobbly kind of track. The lyrics that Karl puts on, essentially it's like probably a group of people go to a concert, and they're so out of it that they're just experiencing the going out and hearing the music, but but also getting probably really drunk and probably not they probably won't remember what they went to because they were drunk. Essentially, that's essentially what the song is. It's an okay track. I it's not my favorite one, but it's quite all right. Lewis in Pomona is a really good song. It starts with Karl's lyrics. I feel the wind on my face and it feels good. And then, the music that Rick plays along with Karl's lyrics, it almost feels like you're on top of a hill and looking at all this nature, and all of a sudden you get a summer breeze, and it hits your face and feels amazing, really. That's a very good build-up track, sort of in the middle of the track, around 3 minutes, it kind of starts bringing in harder beats and kind of like hard house, and it's a well done track for sure. I really do enjoy it. The next song, this is where it starts getting less and less desirable, in that the songs are less polished per se. High-Low Sky, I really do like it, but you have to have the patience to listen to a few seconds before the music really gets going. There's a few seconds where Karl is, with his lyrics, and but there really isn't like a hard kick beat to follow along. It only starts until a few seconds go by, and when I say seconds, like 10 or 20 seconds, it's an okay song. Burst of Laughter is it starts very well, but as the song progresses, it kind of loses my attention. I a lot of these break beats that follow, that are put in these songs, that after Lewis and Pomona, they're very simple, and the lyrics, Karl's lyrics, are almost like done very quickly. I almost as a second thought, and which is sort of like Karl, but the lyrics are just much more tighter and well done between song 1 and 6. But so Burst of Laughter is okay, but like I say, it loses my interest by the time it ends. King of Harlem has a very simple beat, and the lyrics from Karl is like if he's writing a Dr. Seuss book or something. It's very childish, preschool, kindergarten rhyming, which is very off-putting. I can imagine that some of these songs, the second half of this album, what Underworld should do is send out like the second half of this album, the songs, to remixers, and have the remixers create a new mix, which actually might enhance the song, and then they should release it as a follow-up. And I can almost say right now that the album as a whole would do so much better if they worked on remixing the second half of this album's songs, and releasing it, something like, for instance, what Moby does. Moby, when with Everything Is Wrong in 1995, when he released that album, they were interviewing him, and they asked him, how do you decide on what songs you want to remix and which ones you don't touch? And Moby answered that he usually likes to remix the songs that he doesn't like very much, the ones that he least likes. And then he said he enjoys remixing for big groups, like, for instance, Michael Jackson and stuff like that. Obviously, Michael Jackson is gone, but he died. But this was back in 1995. So, anyways, back to the album. Octavia is a basically spoken word song, and my big question is Octavia actually the strawberry jam girl that throughout this entire album is laced in and laced out throughout, and you're constantly reminded of this strawberry jam girl? And is Octavia the personification, the actual lady, that is she the strawberry jam girl, basically? And it's okay. I mean, it has messages within the song Octavia, but like I say, it's quite simple and not interesting. The only interest is whether if Octavia is the strawberry jam girl. So then, right after that, there's acapella of Denver Luna, and essentially it starts from the last 2 minutes of Denver Luna and goes to the end. But it's, like I say, a cappella, sort of similar to Black Poppies. Song number 12, Gene Pool. I actually did enjoy that song when I was listening to this album when it first came out in October, and I said to myself, well, this has a really nice beat to it. So Gene Pool is very, very simple, but very well done, I think. Oh Thorn, the next song, is kind of a mixed bag of other songs that came before, and it's kind of mixed together, sort of. You hear lyrics from other songs from the album, and essentially it's a very short song. If at all, if Oh Thorn is a song, if it's more like an interlude, I would probably believe that. Iron Bones is a track that a singer, a female singer, is highlighted, but too much of I cannot remember what her name is. She doesn't come. She doesn't. The singer, the actual singer, doesn't sing on like dance music. It's more. She comes from a more acoustic, folksy, guitarish background. But that's essentially Iron Bones, and it's kind of put in there randomly and kind of okay. It doesn't do much. Stickman Test, like I said, is the last song, and is I would say it's Karl's guitar playing, and I've noticed on a lot of the albums that they've released, they always have room for one last song, which Karl plays a little guitar on, and And likewise, that's exactly what happens with this album. The last song, Stickman Test, is a Karl Hyde song where he talks about, well, it's a really stripped down version of a song, essentially, and really that's about it. What do I think about the song or the album as a whole? I think the album does very well in making it sound like a concept album, which was more popular in the 60s and 70s. And I wish that more artists would try to focus more on concept albums rather than just throwing on like miscellaneous songs where it just doesn't float well together. So in regards to that, I think the album flows very well. It's a very well constructed album, and here are a few questions. The best songs on the album. Well, the best songs, like I said, Techno Shinkansen is really good. Denver Luna is obviously a highlight of in my opinion, and the Color Red is probably comes in third. Probably fourth, if I had to choose a fourth favorite song, I would probably go with Lewis and Pomona. And let's see, here's a few questions that you might have had questions about this album. So the second question here: how much filler is on it? Well, essentially, from 7 on to 15, most of it is filler, in my opinion. But songs 1 through 6 are totally spot on. I mean, this if they release this as a extended play, it would be what a really good extended play. So is there an overreaching theme to the album as a whole? Well, the overreaching theme is the Strawberry Jam Girl. And who is she? And like I say, I think it's Octavia. And the overreaching theme of the album is that the message that Rick and Karl are trying to get through on this album is that it's okay to go out and party again and to not be afraid. We're not alone anymore because the pandemic has essentially ended. Of course, COVID is still around, but we have the vaccines and we're able to enjoy life again and not be trapped at home by ourselves. I think it's an overall good feeling that they're trying to give out, that it's okay to spread your wings again and go out and do what you did prior to the pandemic. So that's what I think that the overall theme is. And on top of that, the Strawberry Jam Girl apparently has something to do throughout the entire album. An overall rating for the album, I would say I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. It is one of the stronger albums of Underworld. They did a really good job in piecing together the songs so that they all have something in common, or at least have you think that they do. Other albums that are similar, songs that are similar to the better songs on the album. So I would probably compare this to probably their first album, their debut album, from 1994. And what I mean, it's similar in that it has a lot of energy, like for instance their debut album. I would compare it to that. Let's see what else. The direction of the album is overall optimistic. The imagery, the album, it looks like it's inside the room, inside a room of Strawberry Hotel, and there's a little bookcase or with stuff on it, and it's a very interesting album cover, a very good one too, I think. Let's see, the pace and timing. The pace and timing, it hits off really strong and then slowly dies off as it goes towards the end of the album. The atmosphere or mood, like I said, it was essentially a very optimistic mood, kind of an encouraging mood for others to hear, and to not to be afraid to go out and have a good time. And yeah, so that's essentially the thoughts that I had about this album. I hope you enjoyed this review. I think that it's one of the stronger albums that Underworld has released since 2015. So I would highly recommend you hear this album. If not, buy it and hear it. You can hear it on Apple Music, or you can find it on Amazon, or you can also go to their own little what is that I can't think of that site where they most of the royalties go to the creators. It's on the tip of my tongue, but well, essentially, don't miss out without hearing this album. You know, it's definitely a well worth album to check out. And so with that, I'll say goodbye, and I'll review a new album very soon. And please subscribe and give me a like and let me know what you think about this review. I'll keep trucking down the road with more reviews coming soon. See you soon. Bye bye.